So finally for this image, as I said in the previous section, I'd like to completely get rid of this distant building because I feel it disrupts the composition a little. Now to actually get rid of this building altogether, I'm not going to use one of the cloning tools with it being such a big area that we want to replace. I'm simply going to choose my lasso tool and I'm going to make a fairly rough random selection around this area of the distant land and sea. I'm going to right click within this active selection and choose layer via copy. You'll now see that this selected area has been pasted onto another layer. I'm going to choose my move tool and I'm simply going to drag this pasted section over this side of the image. As you'll see, between these two buildings here we can actually just about see the existing horizon line, so I'm going to make sure that I'm lined up with that, and I'm simply going to drop this layer over that area. Now I do actually want to use a layer mask here, but as you'll probably know they're not directly available in Photoshop Elements, so we're actually going to cheat one with a levels adjustment layer. I'll click on my adjustment layer icon, choose levels, and the important thing is not to make any adjustments whatsoever to the levels within this dialog. We'll simply click OK because we just want to use the adjustment layer attached. I'm now going to grab hold of my pasted image layer, drag and drop it above the adjustment layer. I'll finish off by going to layer and group with previous. Now this layer mask attached to the adjustment layer will affect the pasted layer above. So now I can zoom in to the image. If it helps a little, you can always just reduce the opacity of this pasted layer just a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Again, zoom in a bit further, and what I'm going to do now is choose my brush tool and click directly on the layer mask below and make sure I'm using black for foreground. I'm going to choose a hard brush, and now I'm simply going to start painting into the layer mask to hide the areas of the pasted layer that are actually over the building. Can actually afford to go over the edges just a little, like so, because then we can choose white for foreground, and I can actually very carefully just paint up to the very edges of this building. Probably be handy if we was to actually zoom into that just a little bit more so we can see things a bit better, and return to the brush tool. So again here I'm going to very carefully paint right up to the edge of the building. So I'm literally just revealing that pasted land within this space we want to actually cover up. Again, paint down here carefully. Just pan around the image a bit, and again I can paint down here. You can always switch this layer on and off if you want a better idea of what's happening beneath it. Again, I'm just going to paint with black over this so I can see what's actually going on here, and return to white and simply paint away into the layer mask. Just paint around that wooden support there, like so, down the side here, and then we can carefully finish off around here. Again, I'm going to paint with black over this area just so I can see this little boardwalk down here. Swap my foreground colour to white and paint back into the mask with white just up to there, just to finish off. Now we can actually use the brush at partial opacity round here with black, and I'll choose a nice soft brush for this. Carefully paint with just partially opaque black, so I can just gently blend in these areas. Again, I'm going to use a very, very small brush around here just to reveal part of the layer beneath, just so we can finish that off nice and neatly. I would take your time over that area because it does need to be nice and neat. Now if I increase the size of this brush to a fairly large size and reduce the opacity of my brush even further, I can actually start painting into the clouds area here, and what that will do is it will actually hide the pasted clouds over this area, so we can reveal the clouds beneath and very, very subtly just blend it in with the existing image. Just very gently paint to blend those two layers together via the layer mask. And you'll see now, if I zoom out from this, we've perfectly disguised that other building and things are looking a lot better.